Every high schooler wants a shot at research, internships, scholarships, and more, but most don't even know where to begin. What if the problem isn't ambition, but access? Today on the Inside Scoop, we're talking about someone who's fixing that. Meet Pranav Konjeti, the high school founder of Talem, a platform that's already helped over 200,000 students discover opportunities that actually match their goals. From launching Talem at just 17 years old to hitting 1 million site visits, Pranav is building one of the most useful student platforms of our time. And he's just getting started. We go deep into how he scaled the product, what high schoolers actually need, and what it takes to build a venture that stands out in edtech. This isn't just about startup, it's about rethinking how opportunity should work. Let's dive in.
Of course. Yeah. Go
All right. So, Pranav, thank you for meeting with me today. And can you just
ahead.
introduce yourself and your business?
Yeah, so my name is Pranav Konjeti. I'm a current high schooler. Well, I should say incoming college student. I just finished my senior year of high school. I'll be attending UIUC for computer science in the fall. And yeah, so throughout high school, I worked on many different web apps and websites. The biggest one I would say is Talem, for example. It is a platform that connects users, students with opportunities and we've done close to 200,000 users, a million page visits, and we have grants from organizations. And I also run my own web development agency on the side too. Yeah.
That's nice. So, what inspired you to start Talem in the first place?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing was kind of understanding the resource disparity that exists. It sounds very cliche, right? But
Mhm.
I'm an immigrant. I lived in India actually for 7, 8 years of my life before I moved to the States.
Same here.
Um, and yeah, yeah. And I have many cousins in India, and I call with them frequently, and I kind of see from their perspective, the academic resources there do not compare like on any scale to what we have here in the States. And other places like, Europe, they're very well-funded networks of opportunities. And so I kind of had the idea to create Talem as a way for students all across the world to find these opportunities that are there for, students like them and partake in them. Yeah. Because I don't think the problem is talent. There's kids around all around the world with talent. The problem is access. It's finding out where these opportunities are is the issue.
Mhm. Okay, and what does Talem exactly do?
Right. So it's we're adding in many features, but the core principle is we're connecting students with opportunities, right?
Mm.
So you are a, let's just say, high school student in India and you like mathematics, right?
Okay.
Where could you apply those sort of, math skills? So on Talem, you would go, you would enter your information, you would
Mm.
say, "Hey, I'm a math student, and I want to find opportunities near me." And it would filter for you, and you can find online opportunities. You can find opportunities,
Mm.
in India, international opportunities. There's lots of fully funded summer programs, for example.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, we're trying to connect students with those programs.
Mm.
And yeah, like I said, the issue is these students, they don't know that, all these programs out there waiting for talented students like them
Mm.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah. So your main goal, the entire business of Talem is practically connecting students with opportunities. And
Right.
what are the
Right.
varieties and opportunities that are there so far in Talem?
Right. So we focused on kind of diversifying everything. So you can think of we have pre-college programs. Some colleges like MIT, Columbia, Harvard, they have lots of programs for high schoolers. Some of them give financial aid or are fully funded, so we
Mm.
put those in. There's lots of research opportunities. There's lots of, regular competitions like robotics, math Olympiads,
Mm.
science Olympiads, stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're connecting the students to the business to the opportunities. Do you help them in any other sort of way, like with applications or with more communication? Do you do anything like that, or just solely just for putting them with the opportunities?
Yeah, yeah. So right now we serve as pretty much the middleman. That's
Mm.
it.
Mm.
What we're working on in the future is building out a platform that kind of help students with their resume,
Mm,
tailoring their resumes,
mm,
helping them understand the application, what it expects,
mm,
how they can better their chances of getting
mm.
into those programs. Yeah.
Yeah. So is Talem mainly focused on high school students, or is it focused on college students as well?
Yeah, so we're focusing on high school students, and the reason is because for college students, there's a much bigger,
Mm,
international network. There's already these sort of sites that do the same thing.
mm, mm,
But we realized that for high schoolers, there really wasn't like a version of that, right?
mm. Okay. And so I did some research on you beforehand and on the
Okay.
origins. So you apparently worked at Jetson, right?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think so? What is Jetson, first of all? Can you just tell me that? Because I've heard about it a lot. So can you just tell me about that?
Right. So, when I applied, it was like an incubator sort of. So, if you're a teen and you want to kind of get into, building a product and pitching it in
Mm,
front of people, winning some money to actually develop your product,
mm,
that's kind of what Justin was doing. They were taking on teens. It was an internship in the sense that they'll guide
mm,
you kind of through the phase of building your project and all of that.
mm,
So, I applied, I got in, I did the program. It was pretty helpful.
mm.
Um, and yeah.
How do you think your time there helped with Talent right now?
Um, yeah, so I actually came up with Talem during Jetson. So
Mm,
I would say the platform wouldn't really exist if I hadn't been in kind of the headspace of, hey, I want to develop a solution to some sort of problem. Yeah.
mm. Okay. And so, and on your product, how do you scale from 0 to 1 million visits so fast?
I think the biggest thing is distribution and the what helped us the most is that at the time there's obviously many, AI products that are doing a similar thing now, but
Mm,
at the time we were probably one of the first kind of platforms to do the
mm,
whole, connect students with
mm,
opportunities part. So we would post on places like LinkedIn. I
mm,
post on my LinkedIn account frequently.
mm,
We would post on Reddit. We would post on Discord, right?
mm. Yeah.
And then those would get picked up by high schoolers, and then they
Mm,
would go on and tell their friends and all.
mm,
We did organic marketing too. That didn't work out as well just because TikTok, Instagram, those are kind of harder to crack into.
mm,
But yeah, we did do a few paid partnerships with some
mm.
YouTubers too. Yeah.
Okay. And do you take user feedback on your platform?
Yeah, so we have a Discord server where users can kind of join if they have any problems. We have a button on our website that allows users to submit feedback too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does the feedback shape the product roadmap?
The product roadmap, was
Yeah,
it?
how did the feedback help you make the product roadmap a little bit more stronger?
Yeah, I think honestly, our entire product roadmap is based off user feedback, actually.
Mm,
The opportunities, connecting students with opportunities was
mm,
our main feature, our core feature.
mm,
But a few months after that, we had students saying, hey, I want to kind of see actual college applications of students,
mm,
or I want to see kind of the stats or extracurriculars that got students into these colleges. And
mm,
so that's when, yeah, we came up with, the idea of some sort of college application database, and that feature is actually up on the website now.
mm,
Yeah. So a lot of what we're doing is based on user feedback, seeing what works best for,
mm,
any potential users.
mm,
We're working on like a full revamp of the whole site, and there's going to
mm,
be like user accounts. They're
mm,
going to be able to like save, their favorite
mm,
opportunities and all of that. Yeah.
mm. Okay. Do you think feedback is important for any business?
I would say so, yeah, because a lot of the biggest thing, like while creating a startup, is product market fit, right? How do you know if your idea is
Mm,
actually going to help people
mm,
or, get picked up by people or have people
mm,
use it, right? A
mm,
lot of people make stuff because,
mm,
it solves a problem for them, but
mm,
you're not the user of your product, right? You have other
mm,
people. So yeah, I think feedback is really important, and that's
mm,
why you're kind of seeing a really big like build in public movement where people are kind of validating as they're building. So
mm. Okay.
yeah.
And so now a bit more on your product. I want to ask like so you said that you take all these programs, paid programs, also funded programs, you put them on Talem. What's the process you use to vet and add these programs? Like do you look at their credibility? Do you look at their costs? Do you look at like what they do? What is the process you choose before I put them on Talem?
Right. So if you go to the website right now, you'll see that there's only about 200 opportunities. And, on the grand scheme of things, that's on a lower side. But the
Mm,
reason why is because there are lots of pre-college programs and stuff like that, which, like, I don't know how to put in better or worse words, but they're really not accessible for a lot of people.
mm,
Most of these smaller colleges that offer programs, summer programs, they cost, five, $6,000. And we could make our database 2,000, 3,000 big and just
mm,
have all this kind of junk sitting in there.
mm,
But yeah, we try to keep it the highest quality opportunities possible.
mm,
And yeah, so let's say you're a student and you can't afford to pay anything.
mm,
Almost every single opportunity on our database has some sort of financial aid or full tuition if you get in.
mm,
So we don't even have a filter for paid versus non-paid.
mm,
Like the expectation is this is merit based, right?
mm. Okay. And so you're saying that you're only choosing the best of the best. What's the process it goes through before you choose it? Like, do you choose the programs yourself, or do you have someone who is always on the lookout? Do you have like an outreach team for this?
Yeah, so the actual finding programs part we have automated. So we have a scraper that will kind of go through there's blog posts by like College Vine, for example, best
Mm,
extracurriculars, or we just go through Reddit threads. We kind of find
mm,
extracurriculars that have not been added into our database,
mm,
and all of those possible opportunities get put
mm,
into their own database where we kind of just go through and vet them. Yeah.
mm. Okay. And since Talem is mainly focused on experiences and programs for college, right? Mainly, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. What and since we're in the college admissions like topic and the in the field, what's the biggest problem would you say in the college admissions industry?
Biggest problem I would say is, hmm. Yeah, so I would say one of the biggest problems is definitely misinformation.
Mm,
There are so many platforms out there, so many, you know, products that are saying we'll, fine tune your essays, we'll tell you what extracurriculars to
mm,
do. Finding the right ones and making sure that you take into account the fact that most of these tools are just, they're all using ChatGPT at the end of the day, right?
mm,
You can't always trust everything. Same with college admissions influencers.
mm,
There are a few good ones, but for every one good influencer, there's probably 10,
yeah.
that are trying to get views, just trying to, clickbait, stuff like that.
Mm,
So I think that's one of the really big problems, especially since college programs and
mm,
college admissions in general are getting so much more competitive. You
mm,
see more students kind of desperate for these top colleges, right?
mm,
And so they'll kind of fall into the traps that, these clickbaity
mm,
influencers lay
mm.
out.
Yeah. And even I feel like I've been misinformed a lot of times from these college influencers. Like, do you
Right.
know who the ultimate Ivy League roadmap guy is on Instagram?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Sometimes his advice is like pretty decent. The other times it doesn't make sense at the
it's
other time.
right, right,
Yeah.
100%. That was actually who I was having in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like even I thought like he when I first saw it, I thought okay, not bad advice. And then like I started looking more into it. It was like, yeah, this guy isn't just for the money.
Right. And it's also the views. If you say something very sensational,
Yeah.
right, you're going to get more people talking about it. Like, we're talking
Exactly.
about him right now. And
Yeah.
anyone listening to this podcast is going to probably go check him out, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, like,
it's
I think that's his marketing strategy, I guess. So it works for him,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what mistake do you see students making when applying to these top selected programs,
Summer programs?
summer programs? Let's say summer programs, since we're talking about this.
Yeah, so a lot of these summer programs have essays, and the biggest problem you can do with essays, since that's one of the main components you can control, right? Your GPA at the time you apply, your GPA is your GPA, your rank is your rank, your SAT is your SAT. What you've done is what you've done. But the essays, I would say, people don't give much credit to it. They
Mm,
think it's just, I'll just write something, it'll just kind of be part of my application. But essays can really make or break, not just summer
mm,
programs, but college admissions in general.
mm,
And I think once again on the misinformation
mm,
side, there's a lot of
mm,
misinformation on how to write your essays.
mm,
Yeah, biggest thing is just you have to tell your story in a personal view.
mm,
And yeah,
yeah. And I applied recently for the UT Austin's Macomb Summer Business Program. I
right.
felt like I put more work into my essays than like anything else, but I still felt like I was lacking on something because that's why I didn't get selected because it's like extremely hard to get into that thing. And
Right.
yeah. So I felt like if I put a bit more work into my essays, I think I could have probably had a better shot at it.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, even college admissions, if you don't get in, a lot of the times it's not even because you're not qualified. It's just that there are so many people applying to pretty much
yeah,
everything now.
yeah. And especially this thing was free as well, so it had even more like crowd going at it. So it made it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what mistakes do students make when writing their essays, would you say, for summer programs?
Um, yeah, so I think a lot of the this is a problem I faced too when I was writing my college essays is, a lot of the students think their essay needs to be in this shape, in this mold, right? They'll search up sample essays that got a student into this,
Yeah.
right? But it's important to understand that in other students' essays, they are very personal and they are related to that student. And so if you were to copy it and, try to pass it off as your own, or even taking a lot of inspiration from it,
Mm,
I'm pretty confident that, admissions officers, admissions readers, essay readers, they can pick up that fact, right?
mm,
So even if you think your writing isn't good, I feel like it's important just
mm,
to sit down, brainstorm, and kind of
mm,
go through, what experiences you've had, and then answering the topic,
mm.
you know, I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah, because I've been like, because everyone's story is unique, I would say that, and then you should just
Right.
write it yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So, and why shouldn't a student use AI? For example, like if I'm a student who's like, oh, I don't want to write this essay, let me just use ChatGPT. Why shouldn't a student do that?
The main issue is AI at the end of the day, it's trained on other work. And if
Mm,
you use AI, your work is going to sound very similar to a lot of people's,
mm,
stuff. This past college admission cycle, I think AI was used by a lot of people.
mm,
And, people were figuring out like, the M dash, right?
mm. Yeah.
That is kind of like a telltale sign of AI, and lots of students were just copying it in. And then ChatGPT and all these big AI models, they write in a very certain way. Obviously, you can't say something is 100% AI, right? But
Mm,
a lot of the times when you read AI generated text, it's becoming more obvious that this is AI generated text.
mm,
At the end of the day, AI is trained on data and it can never replicate, you know, what your personal experiences are, and it can't
mm.
replicate that into writing.
Exactly. And I feel like AI is how can a student use AI in the proper way for college admissions or summer program admissions?
Right. I think the biggest thing is it's brainstorming, right? AI is really good at kind of you tell it
Mm,
possible ideas you have for an essay, and AI is really helpful in the sense that it'll give you possible narratives to kind of
mm,
talk about. I would say even going as far as outlining might be really helpful. But where it kind of gets to the point
mm,
where AI is detracting from,
mm,
a student's essay is
mm,
when you're generating whole sentences or parts of it.
mm,
And a problem I see like a lot of, friends and a lot of students online falling into is
mm,
if they have a sentence that doesn't sound right in an essay,
mm,
they'll put it into AI and say, make it sound better or something.
mm,
And it does sound better, right? But when you paste that sentence back in the essay,
mm,
it won't really fit in. And,
mm,
people will pick up on that fact.
mm.
Yeah.
So just steer away, kind of like just use it for brainstorming, but not for like actual like writing.
Right. Brainstorming, outlining, stuff like that, but not for the actual writing. Right.
Yeah. And so for summer program essays, the prompt I had for my UT one was describe your story, and then it said like describe your story. We want to know who you are as a person.
Right.
You could attack that prompt from multiple sides. I felt like
Right.
that. So I think that's when a student might decide to use AI for in the ethical area, saying what prompt could I use for my scenario. That could be a
Right.
good bit, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the problem I see most students making right now is that, or my friends mainly, they use AI. They get caught instantly in class, or they get caught and then they get in trouble.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, for example, like the Common App, they have 7 prompts, right? And the
yeah,
prompts range from,
mm,
one of the prompts is just tell us anything, right? You can
yeah,
choose any prompt.
mm,
Another one of the prompts, like, what is one passion that takes up all your time, or
mm,
what is one life moment that's changed you?
mm,
So, giving AI some experiences, some background about yourself, and asking which prompt might fit me, that's a good use of AI, right?
mm,
Kind of pushing you in the right direction and in the right headspace to get writing
mm,
is, I would say, it's honestly beneficial. I would recommend it. Yeah.
mm. Yeah. And we're kind of talking a lot about college admissions, and I don't think you're such a big expert at it, but you're definitely giving me a lot of advice right now about it. So thanks for
Yeah,
that. And
yeah, of
yeah,
course. Yeah.
yeah. And now I want to get back into a bit more about Talem. So,
Mhm.
and what was the moment when you realized Talem was making a difference in the community? Like you said about your stories in India, right? When did you first realize that I'm actually making an impact here?
Right. Yeah. So I would actively post Talem on Discord, right?
Mm,
And the first week or two, it was just I was just posting, working on the site and, doing my own thing.
mm,
But after that, I would get a few DMs every day, and it would be
mm,
students saying, "Hey, your site's been really helpful," or "Thank you, I just applied to a summer program."
mm,
And there were students that actually got into those programs, like I remember vividly there was like a girl that got into the Bank of America Student Leaders Program,
oh,
just because she saw it on Talem, right? And that was expressed in a DM, and that's kind of what gave me the validation I needed, right? In the sense that, this is actually helping people, and it's
mm,
worth it to continue this
mm,
idea. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, and I feel like that's a highly selective program, the Bank of America thing. And if she had
Right.
never heard it and then she got it off her platform, I would also feel the same thing. Like this would have never happened without me.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you build trust with students who've never heard about you? Like if I'm a student off the street and I tell them about, and you go up to them and say, I'm telling them, and then this, how do you build trust with them? How do you think you did that?
How I think I did that is, well, right now Talem is completely free. I mean,
Mm,
it's just a matter of going to the website, you can filter, you can, view
mm,
college applications, all of that. That's it. We're not asking for a sign in, at least not
mm,
yet. And there's absolutely no payment. So we run off grants.
mm,
We've raised a few grants. So yeah, there won't ever be like pay to see this, waste users' time. We're trying to get kind of to the point.
mm,
So yeah, I guess, getting them to actually type in the website and go,
mm,
that's something we're working on too. But what we've noticed is that a user session on our website is quite long, which means
mm,
that when they get on the website, they stay on the website.
mm. That's good. And you talked about grants. So what was some of the grants you got? Like, could you tell me a few?
Yeah, so the biggest one was Emergent Ventures.
Mm,
So that is a venture program. They mainly fund, it's not just high schoolers, there's a lot of college students, adults, stuff like that.
mm,
But they funded us, they funded Talem about, I would say, a year and a half ago when I was in my junior year. So that was really cool.
mm,
They have a program too where if you win a grant, you can fly out to Washington, D.C., meet other grant winners.
mm,
So yeah, I would say if there's, any, like if you're working on a product, for example, or if anyone watching this is working on a product,
mm,
applying to those grants, it's a really good opportunity. They
mm,
don't expect anything in return. That's the point of a grant, right?
mm,
You take the money, you use it to better the world in some way. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, I definitely feel like that's like an amazing opportunity right there. Just taking the money and working and don't worry about anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you reach out for these grants? Like, do you have to like, you can find these online or do you have to like have a network for this?
Yeah, so having a network definitely makes it easier because you'll skip that whole application stage. You might go
Mm,
straight to the interview. So, like LinkedIn, for example, is really helpful if you know people that know, these grant program directors or something like that. But for emergent ventures, I just filled out a form. I
mm,
applied, and I got an interview and I got the
mm,
grant there. So a lot of times it is really just, take your shot. I always like the quote where, you miss every shot you don't take, right? So
mm,
it's better just to
mm.
apply,
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, I definitely feel like that. I mean, like, so, and now since you're talking with just take the shot. what advice would you give to an entrepreneur or like any high school student or college student right now? If they're in the midst of like starting a business, applying for that scholarship, applying for that program, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would say just go at it. I think a lot of people they get kind of bogged down on like if they have an idea, right? They
Mm,
think to they think to themselves, "Hey, do I need to post on Reddit, see if people like
mm,
my idea? Do I need to post on LinkedIn? What tech stack or what technologies do I need to use to build my
mm,
website? Do I
mm,
even need a website? Do I need a website and app?" There's all these questions that kind of prevent you from actually starting, right?
mm,
So the best thing is just to start. If you have an idea, just make it. If it flops, it flops, right?
mm,
A lot of times, you won't ever hit your first shot, right?
mm.
So just by starting, you're already ahead of the game. And if the idea doesn't work out, you've gained that experience and you'll be twice as fast when you build your next one.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that because I've talked with a lot of founders, a lot of
Mhm.
CEOs, a lot of people that keep on saying the same thing. Just do it, and if it fails, you know what to work on next.
Right, right.
Mm. Yeah, and I want to talk a bit more about you in high school because you said that you found this great in as a junior. How was it like? So as I'm about to be a junior in high school myself, and I know how hard it's gonna be as a
Okay.
junior year. How do you manage talent, school, and other extracurriculars? Did you do anything? Do you do any other extracurriculars in high school?
Yeah, so I was on my school's volleyball team.
Mm,
So that took up a lot of time in the fall, right?
mm,
I did, computer science honor society, I did FBLA,
mm,
yeah. So there was a lot of stuff. I think for me, school was it really wasn't that bad. I was in the IB program, so
mm,
we're kind of locked to the courses. So I already knew what courses I had for the next few years.
mm,
And you can kind of map that out. You can kind of study. I made sure to get a lot of my homework done in school itself.
mm,
And then when I get home, I would work on some projects. I would do any extracurricular commitments. Yeah,
mm. Yeah, and that's the main thing right now. I feel like because I'm about to be a junior in high school, and I'm kind of just afraid, like, how am I going to keep up with my podcast, school, extracurriculars, all that.
right.
But I've seen you do it. I've seen a lot of other high school founders do it. I think I could do it myself then. So that gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a lot in the beginning, right? You're
Mm,
going to realize you're spending a few hours after school on your homework.
mm,
You want to interview other people, you want to work on any clubs, all of that. But you'll find a rhythm, right? You'll find when to make time and all of
mm.
that.
Yeah,
So,
it's just getting into that rhythm. Then everything just you get it.
right, yeah. And I'm assuming you enjoy interviewing people, right? If you
Yeah,
enjoy
I,
your
I enjoy
work,
it a lot.
right. If you enjoy your work, it won't really feel like work, right? You'll
Yeah.
be excited to do it. So
Mm,
for me, I never found programming or, creating software as like a task. I
mm,
just found it's like part of me. I just like creating stuff. If I see a problem, I like seeing if I can build a solution, right?
mm,
So I never found it, boring, right? So
mm.
yeah.
Yeah. And what was your hardest moment and how did you overcome it when building Talem or doing anything in high school in general?
Yeah, I think like I said, distribution was really difficult in the
Mm,
beginning.
mm,
There's lots of high schoolers now building, which is a good thing, right?
mm,
But there's also lots of competition, is what that means, right? There's
mm,
lots of people, you see lots of high schoolers with really successful stuff,
mhm,
way more successful than even what I have now.
mm,
And you think to yourself, you kind of have imposter syndrome. You think, am I not enough? Am I not doing enough?
mm.
The best thing to do is just to keep on pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best advice I've heard from everyone I've speaking to and you as well. Just keep going.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to go more about like the process of like a student when they first onboard onto town. And
Yeah.
so what do you do specifically? What I've learned from you is that you allow them on the website, you give them the database, they're allowed to pick and choose whatever they feel like is more confident. And do you think in the future you can like turn this into a full ad tech service?
Yeah, yeah, probably. We have a lot of, stuff we want to kind of release. We have a whole
Mm,
roadmap that we're working on.
mm,
And as you said, a lot of it is based on user feedback. So yeah, right now there's a lot of different features we want to implement. As you know, AI is getting really, really good now. And we're trying to see how we can incorporate that into our website
mm,
without making it sound like the basic
Mm,
AI rapper, right?
mm,
Yeah.
mm. And so, what's the future for Talem? Can you tell me a little bit of anything you have in mind right now?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we want to do is we are trying to create a way for high schoolers, talented high schoolers to find each other.
Mm,
So we're
the
trying to
LinkedIn.
have user accounts and users will sign up. They'll enter some data about themselves.
Mm,
And let's say you're a student, right?
mm,
And you're building I don't know, a healthcare startup. You want
mm,
to find maybe a co-founder or you want to find another high schooler your age that's doing a similar thing. We are trying to connect those people together. Because, when I was in high school, right? I had a lot of friends in my school. They were great, but none of them were really kind of into that startup culture that I was in. They were all doing their own stuff, right?
mm,
Leading clubs and all of that, which is great. But I was trying to find people that I could kind of vibe with, people that I could kind of get on call
mm,
and build stuff with, right?
mm,
And I did end up finding that, but it was a little bit late. So I
mm,
think some sort of service like that, which is what we're working on, would be pretty beneficial. That's kind
mm.
of where we see it more as like a social network of high
Yeah.
school.
So the LinkedIn for high schoolers.
Yeah, in a way, but more focused on the connection part, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that's what's needed right now because like if I'm a student who's like who wants to start something but I don't know who to reach out to and who's my age who I can connect with, that's perfect for me right there.
right. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And do you think you'll be turning this in? Could you turn this into a mobile app like Jetson right now?
We could, yeah. So, I mean, right now the website is fully operational on a mobile device.
Mm,
We did think about an app, but right now there's not enough features to
mm,
justify making an app. So,
mm,
once we kind of ship out a new actual web platform for it,
mm.
we'll look into app building. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. And thank you very much, first of all. And I learned
of
a
course.
lot from you. Yeah. College programs and then about you as an entrepreneur in high school. It taught me a lot and it also gives me confidence to keep going on as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll say you're incoming junior, right? You
Yeah, I'm
you
an
just
incoming
finished
junior.
sophomore. Okay, that's honestly really incredible. You're really well spoken. I'll say that. And the fact that you just finished your sophomore year, you still have 2 years left of high school. I think you're on to really big things. You just gotta keep on pushing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for having me on.
Yeah. And thank you for giving me the time as well. Yeah.